Good morning class, welcome to your daily current affairs on paper Hindu. Let's go with today's articles. So yes, there is one article which I haven't highlighted because yet to be again released. So currently Rahul Gandhi was actually convicted with defamation case on our Prime Minister, and he has lost his membership for, he was basically defected. So he lost his membership from Member of Parliament, and currently what is the update is that he went to this Surat court which has granted bail, and further this case will be discussed on April 13th. So how far this conviction is legible or liable, okay? So is it really worthy or should we remit the punishment, okay? So that is about this particular article, okay? On April 13th we will see further updates. Next, China reveals plan to rename 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh. So this isn't new. So in 2021, 2017 also it has done the same attempts, China. So some of the places in Arunachal Pradesh it is tending to rename with Chinese names and to make it as part of their territory. So this is already like been repeating since twice. It's already happened twice in 2017 and 21, and again it started doing the same thing. And currently our Foreign Minister, External Affairs Minister, who is Mr. Jaishankar, hasn't commented yet on this, and we are going to have further talks too with them. So we will see what are the feasibilities and possibilities after this, okay. So yes, it has released that particular list where 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh are going to be renamed by China, okay, like tending to make it as a part of territory of China, okay, fine. Next, net direct tax collections up to 17.6 exceed revised estimates target. So revised estimates, we have one particular target of this net direct tax collections. So our revenues, right? So our revenues have increased up to 17.6% more than the revised estimates target. So good, right? Direct taxations revenues are including, so are exceeding, good for the government. However, the burden is on consumers on our end. Direct tax collections, so income tax collections, everything. So one thing that is good is that the ambient of taxpayers is increasing, that you need to understand, okay. So India's net direct tax collections have been raised 17.6% in 2022, touching to 16.61 lakh crore, which has exceeded the revised estimates of this present year by 0.7%, okay. Next article, local article. Yes, important one, polity, governance, important. So what is this article? Only government can take call on plea on disqualified lawmakers. Election Commission says Supreme Court. Supreme Court has asked that how far, for suppose a particular person has been disqualified from the particular election. So that disqualification, should it be exceeding? So let me read out this line so it will be clear for you. Poll body, which is Election Commission, had maintained distance. So when the Supreme Court has asked, it has maintained distance on the question whether the disqualified lawmaker, that means the legislature, who is a member of parliament or member of legislative state legislature. So it can be state legislature or parliament, so central or state. If that particular person is being disqualified, should be banned from contesting elections for the next 5 years. So once if the particular person is being disqualified, should we be asking him to be, or should we make sure that that particular person will not be contesting in the elections for the next 5 years? That was the question raised by Supreme Court. Election Commission has told that yes. So only government can take call on that. That means Parliament has to take decision on that. It's not under the ambient of Election Commission. That is what Election Commission has mentioned. So the Election Commission in the Supreme Court has chosen to maintain a distance on the question whether the disqualified lawmaker should be banned from contesting elections for a year. So for a one particular year, for 5 years, should that particular person who has been disqualified, should he be or should she be banned or not? That was the question asked in Supreme Court, and the Election Commission has maintained distance. The Commission said it would be appropriate to have the union government deal with the issue. So it is telling clearly that it is not under the ambient of us being an election commissioner. So it will be under the ambient or under the jurisdiction of union executive or union government. It is asking that it is under the hands of legislatures to take the decision on this. So that is about this article. So the disqualification can be on the grounds of office of profit, or being unsound mind, or undischarged insolvent, or undischarged solvent, or being a non-citizen, or voluntarily acquiring citizenship of a foreign state, or being under any acknowledgement of allegiance or adherence to a foreign state. So these can be allegations through which that person can be disqualified. Also, final ground of disqualification was through MLA or MLC by any law made by Parliament. So any law or act that is made by Parliament, if it makes an MLA or MLC or an MP disqualified, then definitely that particular person will be disqualified. So who has the power here? Parliament. Okay. Next. Just 9.3% of the loans under PM Swanade given to vendors from minor communities. So again, constructive criticism on application of schemes for minorities. So minorities, religious minorities will be there, so it can be Muslims, Sikhs, whatever it is, and majorly it will be Muslims and Christians, right, and other people. So currently this Swanade scheme is nothing but giving loans for the street vendors. Street vendors, they will be giving a loans. See, PM Swanade is a micro credit scheme, that means a small credits. A small amounts will be given to them, which was launched in 2020 to provide hand-holding support to street vendors to tide over the pandemic-induced economic stress. So it was introduced in 2020. So back then it was huge losses for street vendors. That is when they have come up with this PM Swanade, where they will be giving some micro credit to this street vendors. And currently, so it facilitates for a collateral-free loans. So they will be giving some loans which is collateral free for around 10,000 with subsequent loans of 20,000, 50,000 with 7% subsidy, 7% interest subsidy. Okay. So small loans will be given to them. So to sustain their business, that's all. So that is as part of Swanade scheme, and the criticism is that only 9.3% of these loans were given for minority communities. So the ambient or the stretch of these loans to minority communities is less, that you need to understand. Okay. So of totally 42.7 lakh loans amounting for 5,152 crore. So for 42 lakh loans have been granted, out of which the total amount is around 5,152 crores. It has been disbursed, so it has been distributed to these street vendors, out of which only 3.98 lakh or 9.3% were the hawkers of the minority communities. Who has given this data? Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in Rajya Sabha. That's what they have clearly mentioned here. Next, India-US exercise, important. So this is important. The exercise, air exercise, this is not naval or something, air exercise will be conducted, it will be conducted by US and India, where Japan is a observer, and it has been an observer state from 2018. Earlier it used to be only bilateral air exercise, and now after 2018 Japan has become observer in this particular air exercise, and this air exercise is called COPE India exercise. COPE India exercise, the name of this air exercise is COPE India exercise, and it will be conducted from April 10th to 21st and in the place of Kalaikunda Air Base in West Bengal, Kolkata. So in West Bengal, with Japan as an observer, and the exercise will be seen intense air maneuvers aimed at improving interoperability, says Defence Ministry. And what are the vehicles or what are the things that are going to fly from our end? So what are these Air Force vehicles which are being held or which will be displayed in this particular air exercise? We need to know. So our frontline fighters, Su-30 MKI and Rafale, and the indigenous light combat aircraft. All this, so Rafale is our Rafale fighter jet, and Su-30 MKI and also indigenous light combat vehicles which are developed in India. All this will be displayed in this air exercise. Also from US they will be bringing, or it is expected that they will be bringing this F-15 fighter jets. However, Japanese air self-defense will be participating in this Scope India exercise as an observer. Okay, fine. So that is what here. From 2015, it has become trilateral. Before that, it used to be only bilateral air exercise between India and US. Important. Scope India between whom? Between India and USA, where Japan is having observer status. Okay. Next. Again a criticism. So I am not going to the political news here, but there is a criticism which has been mentioned by the current Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, stated that EWS quota, economically weaker section quota, 10% of reservation is being given for these people who are economically weaker section, can be forward in caste. So they might be forward caste, they might be people from forward caste, but economically weaker section. So in terms of economy, they might be backward. For those people, this economic weaker section status will be given, out of which they can avail this 10% of reservation in public domain, employment, okay, in employment facilities. So this quota is economic justice and could never be social justice. So it's mentioned that, so this status would be economical justice. That means people who are from economically weaker sections, they will be assuring this monetary benefits or some financial benefits through this. Economical justice can be brought out, but social justice can never be achieved through EWS data, because people, especially he has accused the opposition, the position government in center BJP, stating that they are trying to give people who are from forward caste and people who are well enough in family income, they are trying to give them more benefits by granting EWS data. EWS category. Are you able to understand? Constructive criticism. So upon the whims and fantasies of a politician or a lawmaker, this EWS is being misleaded. That is a constructive criticism from this article. Okay. Next. Can be added in your governance part. Analysis mode of answer rating is actually expected in your UPSC or any state PSC examination. So definitely you need to know all these things. Next. Price of 651 essential drugs down by 6.73% from April 1st, says center. So this essential drugs we have already discussed, cardio drugs and cancer drugs which are imported from other countries will be seeing 6.73% decrease. Earlier there was one article similar lines, and now there is another article which mentions that 6.73% will be the reduction in price levels. So the price of 651 essential drugs have come down by 6.73%, and overall figures they have mentioned that, and who is the person who will be giving this? Yesterday we have already discussed, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority is the one who will decide on this pricing, and currently the ceiling prices have been fixed, and so far they have mentioned that it was earlier down by 16.62%, and now further they have decreased this from like earlier stage to 6.73%. Okay. Next article. Dial-up internet is now history in India, says TRI. So the last dial-up internet connection, so you will be dialing, right? All call. So this dial-up internet facilities have been ended by 2021 officially, says who? Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRI. So only that content is actually required, rest all not required. However, we have this modem way of connections for internet, and as far as now this dialing internet has been ended. Okay. Next article. CDC Flex Concern over eye drops from India. So I have already mentioned that this particular eye drops is inducing one kind of bacteria strain allergy in America. So they have clearly mentioned, and this particular pharmaceutical industry is from India, and that eye drops have been given to foreign countries, and they have clearly banned it. So they are mentioning concern about it, and they have also banned this usage currently. Okay. So reading on the article, the Nation Public Health Agency of the United States, which is CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it has expressed concern over the drug-resistant bacteria strain allegedly linked with eye drops from Indian company gain a foothold in US healthcare settings. So because of this usage, it is affecting them with some bacterial infection in their eyes. So that's why they have mentioned these concerns, and currently they are looking over it. Okay, rest all not required. Next. And this particular drug is available only in USA, not in India. Okay, next. France decided on legalizing euthanasia. So again, important for your polity. So we'll always be comparing with other countries, right, whenever we're speaking about euthanasia or any other constraint. So euthanasia, now France is going to legalize this euthanasia. So what is euthanasia? Active assistance to dying. So that is what they are going to legalize it further, which India still we are in pending decisions for active euthanasia. In India it is still acceptable till passive euthanasia, where the doctors have to give certain upgradations, and one upgrade in this euthanasia step is that now the patient himself or herself who is in the state of giving consent, then their consent is also enough. Right now that was the update, and now France has come up with this bold step of accepting this euthanasia for their patients. So that is one such article where you can mention in your answer writing, right? Now, next, Chinese spy balloon gathered intelligence on US military sites. So around 1 month entirely in February, it was clearly mentioned that there was a huge drama between US and China, alleging the spy balloons have entered into US sites. So they have, where US has mentioned that it was a spy balloon, but however China has mentioned that no, that is a civilian purpose balloon which has lost its track and it has entered into your arena, please give it. But US has mentioned clearly, US has shot it down and it has sent for further investigation. And later on it has found that the Chinese balloon that flew across the US was been able to gather intelligence from several military sites. So after investigation it has found that this particular spy balloon is actually a spy balloon sent from Chinese officials to have a understanding about this military sites available in US. So that is about this article. Okay, next. So giving a small gist, for more you can just go to the Telegram for downloading this particular PDF. Next, oil surges as OPEC plus surprise output cuts shake markets. So because of this huge sanctions on Russia by Western countries, it has reduced production of oil, which has further increasing this crude oil prices and inflation in crude oil. So now all these OPEC countries, OPEC plus, which is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, including Russia, have further decreased, have announced the decrease in production cuts about 1.16 billion barrels per day. So that this count is not required, but what is required is that again further decreasing the production, which will further again hike up crude oil prices. So even now if you can see in the core IIP, so even in industries, core industries in India, only crude oil is seeing a negative impact, whereas all other have been hiked for almost 8-month high, but this again further it lowers this crude oil issue. Crude oil inflation will be huge. So that is about this article. So currently the oil prices surged on Monday, posting the biggest daily rise in nearly a year after a surprise announcement of OPEC plus to cut production jolted markets. So they've clearly got into an agreement to reduce the production, which will further increase the inflation. Next, so no need to know all these prices. So one explanatory article. So already we have discussed about this disqualification of MP Rajiv Gandhi from being a member of parliament, and now this is one explanatory article, a very good article. I will really suggest you to go through this article, but I will give you a gist. Okay. So clearly there is a question that on defamation law, a blow against the freedom of speech and expression. Two extreme things. Supreme Court has mentioned that right to reputation is part of Article 21, which should be assured. At the same time, Article 19 through fundamental rights, Article 19(1)(a) guarantees right to freedom of speech and expression. Supreme Court again in further judgment has mentioned that there should be a clear balance between your right to reputation as well as right to freedom of speech and expression. But it has given you what are the constraints or regulations to maintain this balance. That is why they clearly accuse that Rajiv Gandhi's defection because of 2-year sentence is mainly due to the imbalance between right to freedom of speech and expression as well as right to reputation. Very important article, you can just go through this. And they are mentioning that the fraternity, your equality, liberty are taken from French Revolution, which is again disturbing in our country. We are not able to maintain the proper balance, and how it should be achieved, everything has been mentioned. So far, thing which is actually important, as I have already told, how to achieve this balance is yet to be discovered from the country. Okay, so that is about this article. Just go through this, very good article for today. Yes, I think that's it for today. Yes. So, I have given you the gist, but I will sincerely suggest you to go through this article. That's it for today. Thank you for the session. We will meet tomorrow. We will meet in tomorrow's session. Thank you.